Accessing.
When TV and radio collide.
Love it.
Wow. This is what you get. You're listening to JJ and Alex, presented by G2G Bars.
Don't touch that dial.
On 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
This is the first time in my life that I've heard this bump back. Did you pull this personally? You're a big Will Smith Wild Wild West. I love the...
Did that movie come out before you were born?
Oh, 100%. Okay, it's from a movie, he says. And he's not, there's zero guile to that. He actually asked that question. He actually was asking if Wild West is a real movie. The answer is yes. Who's the bad guy in that?
That movie came out in 1999.
Sir Kenneth Branagh.
Sir Kenneth Branagh was in that movie. Somebody named Sir was in that movie.
He's like, I got to get a paycheck.
Oh, my gosh. Hey.
Help me out here.
Even guys with Sir before their name have to make some money. Sometimes you got to do things you really don't want to do.
I may have given him the knighthood, but I think he's one of those guys. So there you go.
Did he have his knighthood revoked after he did that movie?
No, they had him back. He did so many movies, man. He's that narcissistic professor in Harry Potter. He's Poirot in those movies now. It's good. All right. JJ, our program is brought to you by G2G Bars. All natural ingredients and no preservatives make the G2G Bar the perfect protein bar. We've got tons to jump into here. So let's kick the show off as we always do here at the top of the hour with the cut. Let's get right to it.
It's time for the biggest story of the day. This is what made the cut with JJ and Alex on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
And this portion of the show, this cut, this hour, brought to you by an incredible selection of Kia, Subaru, Chevy, Jeep, Dodge, or Ram, and now Mitsubishi in the family of Doug Smith dealerships. Nobody knows cars like Doug. We love the Doug Smith guys. JJ, as we mentioned last hour, all of the dramatics that have happened over the past 24 hours of the accusations flying on Twitter, flying on social media across all of the different platforms, that tampering is awry, that everything is going crazy between not just in college football, but specifically that BYU might be interested in some players out of Utah. And by the way, spoiler alert, a lot of teams would be interested in a lot of the players on Utah's roster.
Yeah.
Shocker, you've got extremely good talent. And if talent is there, and if money is there, and if that's part of the equation, then you can, for sure, as a fan of a team that might be quote unquote tampering or recruiting, which I'm not saying BYU's doing, but when they're being accused of going after names with dollar amounts, even with Caleb Lomu and Smith Snowden being the kind of the highest caliber names that are on that list. And then, of course, at the beginning of our show, we read to you that Zacharias Williams, during all of this hubbub, that BYU's being accused of stealing or trying to put numbers out there to some of the players that are on active rosters, not even in the transfer portal. Then Zacharias Williams, who was going to be probably your wide receiver number one for Utah this year, or at least going into the fall, he has hit the transfer portal as of today. So all of those things make for a very uncomfortable and very skittish time if you're a college football fan. I would assume that coaches are going through the same thing. Joining us right now, he does it all for college football news, and he does an awesome job for us, and he gives us a lot of insight. He is Pete Fiutak, joining us on the program, collegefootballnews.com. Pete, thanks for being with us. It's a chaotic time to be a fan of college football.
Yeah, it's almost over. The transfer portal ends pretty soon, so this will kind of relax a little bit, at least this spring version of it. But, yeah, it's been pretty crazy because there aren't any rules here, and no one quite knows what we have to work with. No one quite knows what's going to happen when it is ruled one way or another, which it'll be ruled for being able to pay players from schools, which I am 1,000% against. But it's kind of a crazy time for everybody in college sports.
It is a crazy time, and until this is settled, what we're seeing right now is just wild. And we were just talking about what's happening in our own market here with some things working back channels where some BYU connections. They're trying to get some Utah players to come over, blah, blah, blah. There's just a lot of drama and a lot of stuff going on. That's just there's no guardrails, Pete. There's no what is the next year or two going to look like with this until this all gets settled? I mean, we got like $40 million payrolls for rosters. It's just pretty nuts what's going on right now.
It's nuts, and I'm for players getting whatever they can get. It's kind of a tough one because everyone wants to put on guardrails. Everyone has to remember, technically and theoretically, they're college students. So if you're a college, if you are going to BYU and you're just a regular old college student, you can transfer to Utah and vice versa anytime you want.
Yeah.
If, you choose to change schools. And so in that way, you put it in front of a judge or someone who doesn't know anything about college sports, and they're like, well, yeah, you can transfer. Why can't you go? If you're eligible to go to the science class at BYU, why can't you go do the science class at Utah and all that kind of stuff? So it's a tough argument to make. Where this gets tricky is how people get paid, and I've always thought I think colleges screwed this thing up. Because as soon as they started crying about the NIL system, it all of a sudden went haywire because that's the perfect system. You don't have to pay your labor force. If some goofy booster wants to give a player money or a tractor or whatever, okay, knock yourselves out. But it's when the schools have to pay for players. Now it gets a little tricky because now they are employees in a certain way. It means you can fire them. It means you can change things. It just changes the entire dynamic of what college sports are supposed to be. So I'm for the players getting stuff, just not, taking money out of the English department so you can go get a linebacker.
How does it work then? When they say they want to, the NCAA is talking about just doing the direct pay to the players. How would that work then? And what would the setup be? And obviously, this is quite a change for the world of the NCAA guys, but because everything has changed for them. Who knows if they're even going to exist in the next 5 years? But what does that look like in terms of paying guys directly in the future?
Forgive me, I don't want to get political in any way, shape, or form, but it actually does kind of matter here. In this current climate, with this current administration, the idea of Title IX might not hang around. There might be changes to that, and that only really matters, besides, why it was there in the first place, but when it comes to the, paying of college athletes equally, well, I think what ends up happening is you start to lose the non-revenue sports because all of a sudden, if you're an athletic department, if you're Texas or you're Ohio State or USC, you can afford anything you want. They have more money than they have to do it. They can pay players what they're worth and what they should be getting, and they can be involved in this. But if you're like a mid-range, school playing football, and you have athletics, and if you're a MAC school maybe or a Sun Belt school, you don't have the monster money coming in. I mean, I keep quoting this. Remember, the average really good NFL quarterback, Jalen Hurts, Justin Herbert, Russell Wilson, they make more than the entire Mountain West combined when it comes to media, the media rights that they're getting. So, it's not that much money compared to there. So the middle range guys just aren't going to be able to necessarily afford, golf or gymnastics or, some of these other sports. So they might just start lopping those off. And so I think in that way, because you're going to have to find some money for, to pay these players. And I think once it starts to get to some of these schools that, okay, well, what are we going to do? We can't go to our endowments because you just can't. So if you're a school and you're saying, well, if you're a hint at all, if you're cutting anything educational for anything, it's not going to be a good look for colleges and universities.
What a mess. Yeah, we'll see how that all plays out, and that House settlement's going to be really interesting once the final judgments come out. You are doing a lot of work on the NFL draft, and I'm going through a lot of it right now, and a lot of mock drafts, position rankings. First of all, before we get into some of the nitty-gritty of it, just how much do you enjoy that part of it? We talked to you about a lot of college football, but when it comes draft time, how much do you enjoy this part of the year?
This is my background. The fun fact is my first ever published mock draft was the 1989 mock draft for the school paper at the University of Wisconsin.
Wow,
so
that's cool.
I've been doing this for forever. I actually, before doing this, worked for Sky Point Pro Football Weekly for a million years. I've always loved the NFL side of things, and obviously it just combines itself with the college thing.
Yeah.
I say this with all these years of experience. There is no industry probably in the world more full of hoo-ha than NFL scouting. It's absolute hot garbage because the stats are astronomical after the second round. Like, you have to really, really try to screw up to not get just go by the baseline. Find a guy who, if you're trying to draft someone who's going to be a decent to above average starter for you for the next 3 years, it's hard not to hit that in the first round. It goes down a little in the second round. You have if you look at statistically over the last, we did this like a few years back. It was like a 20-year run. You have about a 50-50 shot in the third round of finding a player who's going to start for you for 3 years. After that, fourth round on, you got about a 15% chance of that. And it turns out the best values are always punters and kickers. Punters and kickers who get drafted tend to have long shelf lives in the NFL, but it's just a wasteland. You want to see a true wasteland? Go search up first-round pick quarterbacks, and you're just going to see name after name after name of guys who are like, oh, yeah, of course Jake Locker was going to make it, and Blaine Gabbert and all these, Matt Leinart, all these huge names who just never did anything. It's dumb luck. It just is. I mean, it's you basically from the college angle. Do you have freakish talents, and were you a good player in college? Start with those two things. Do you do one thing that's just on another level different than anyone else? Which my prime example was always Lamar Jackson, where I couldn't tell everyone, like, this guy's just different. He was a different college football player. He'll get the passing down over time. He's just a different sort of playmaker than anybody else, but he didn't fit the mold. But he had ridiculously crazy tools, and obviously it worked out for him. So that's why sometimes the scouts kind of get too involved into what fits the NFL mold instead of looking at things being like, oh, yeah, this guy was actually really good. And then a lot of times it's who was he really good against? Who did he play against? Who was head-to-head? So it's gotten a little bit better in terms of the analysis, but until these guys go to that other level for the other freakish athlete guys, it's hard to really know.
Pete, as we kind of break these things down, I mean, on the flip side, JJ and I just went through a long list of undrafted guys who have had phenomenal careers. You can always find those as well. So it's hard to understand like what the reality is on talent, but it's also this is also the time that all these GMs get together and go, I don't even like that player, and then they take him, and so it's the lying season, it's the BS season, but. One of the things we saw today is that Shedeur Sanders was taking a tumble through a lot of these mock drafts and maybe even into the second round. Is that the load of BS stuff, or is a guy like Shedeur Sanders? I know this is not a very good kind of like really talented quarterback class, and also a lot of teams have been burned by taking quarterbacks early, and some have other needs that they go, I know that I get a good offensive tackle and that's going to work for me. We don't know what we're going to get with a quarterback. Is Shedeur Sanders going to be a day two guy?
Yeah, and to your point, remember, if you miss on that offensive tackle or you miss on the linebacker or running back or whatever, you know what? There's always others. You always play a couple offensive tackles, obviously. You play a couple of defensive backs. You play a couple of guys here. If you draft a quarterback in your first round, there's only one. That's your guy. But these guys, everyone wants one because there's nothing more valuable in pretty much all the world than a rookie or a starting NFL quarterback on his rookie contract, because he just doesn't get paid very well compared to the guys who are making $50 million a year. So you want to find that guy. But again, look where Patrick Mahomes was drafted. They had to trade up, and he still got him. Josh Allen was like 7th. I mentioned Lamar Jackson late in the first round. Jalen Hurts was a second rounder. those are the best guys going right now. And so, of course, there's a Joe Burrow who can get at the one, and, every once in a while those guys really hit. But it really is a lot of dumb luck, a lot of injury luck, and a lot of fits. So just because a guy might drop, it doesn't mean the end of the world. So for me, I am kind of mystified by this Sanders thing. I find it fascinating. I think he's great. I mean, you're talking about a guy who, was not just a dinker and dunker. He was a deep ball thrower. Finished his career, they didn't run the ball at all at Colorado, and he ended his career completing 71% of his passes. He's getting knocked for holding onto the ball too long. Well, he also took a lot of shots because that style of modified run and shoot that they played got the quarterback killed every single play.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, their
he
lines
kept
are
getting
terrible.
up. And so, and I think the other part of this that it kind of gets lost here is how, he's Deion Sanders' kid. He was trained by the best of the best. He knew Manning's and all the passing academies and all the top teachers and stuff. He sees things so well and so fast. But because of the whole Colorado hype machine, and I do think there's a little bit of a backlash in the scouting community against, Deion Sanders and the whole, hype and getting his, Shedeur getting his jersey retired and the commercials and the, what happens if, things go wrong, does dad come screaming and become a distraction? I think that's just enough to knock him down for some, but it only takes one. And I think he's the best quarterback in the draft. At least he's the most promising quarterback. Because if he plays like he was able to and shows off those same sort of decision-making and toughness skills, that's good enough to get him rolling.
Jackson Dart's a Utah native, played high school football here. We covered him extensively. We followed his career in college. And now he's one of those quarterbacks that's going to get taken, and I'm looking at your mock draft. You got him pretty high. Why do you have Jackson Dart so high in your mock draft?
Actually, mock draft, yes, in terms of him as a prospect, not as much. I think people like him. I think like the skill set. And this might go to your thought process of the only problem with Jackson Dart right now, and you actually nailed it, how do you know that someone doesn't like a prospect? They're talking about him. Because the guys usually, the guys you really do like, you don't say a thing about, or like you said, you dog them. And my problem with Jackson Dart more than anything else is I'm old enough to remember how awesome the NFL career of sure thing Matt Corral was. Coming out of that Ole Miss offense, there was talk late in the game, whatever it was, 3 years ago, whatever it was, that he might even be he might have the number one overall pick. But in that Lane Kiffin offense, it kind of makes players look a little bit better than they are. So certainly Jackson Dart is a very good prospect. He's got all the tools. He's got the experience. And like you kind of alluded to, this isn't a great quarterback class. The only thing worse is next year's quarterback class, which after Arch, there's not a lot there unless the John Mateers and Drew Allers of the world turn into something special pretty quick.
Here locally, before we get you out of here, I was just going to ask you because you have the two local big teams, BYU and Utah, accusing one another of tampering with guys that are on their roster. What happens if? How does it work? I mean, how does the tampering get even regulated these days? I was thinking to myself, let's say something was found out that a team in college football was tampering with a player who's on an active roster. How do you even go about punishing those teams, and what do they do about it, and who even regulates it?
Because I haven't shown enough age by my 1989 mock draft reference that I did, I'm going to go Days of Thunder here, and Rubbin's son is racing. I mean, get used to it. Everyone's going after your players, and if you're not going after everyone else's players, you're not doing your job. And sure, BYU, Utah is but if you're BYU and Utah, you're big enough. You should be going after, Michigan State's players.
Yeah.
Go after Florida players. Go after everybody. And that's the thing. And it makes it bad for the fans to think like it's just a league of mercenaries now. Or look, go in the portal, find the guy who fits. There is a plus side to this. and that from a fan standpoint, the game is stronger, mainly because everyone's got a quarterback now, where everyone really kind of forgets the high-octane passing offenses are kind of a recent thing in terms of the 150-plus year of college football has been around. Now you have mature quarterback. Let someone else develop your guy. Let someone else be the right fit for you. So you now can go find the players who fit the skills that you need for your team. So everyone who always complains, I lost this guy in the transfer portal. Well, if you're a big enough program, that means that guy you lost in the transfer portal, unless you're Tennessee losing Nico, which is going to be more painful for them than everyone's saying.
Yeah.
You just go buy yourself another guy.
Just go buy yourself another guy. That's where we're at in college football. Pete Fiutak, collegefootballnews.com is where you can find his byline. Love having you on, Pete, and we appreciate all your insights, and we'll have you again, obviously, on as closer to the football season we get. Thanks for hanging out with us today, man.
Anytime, you guys. Have a great one.
There you go. Pete Fiutak.
Good stuff.
I get what he's saying there. He goes, no, yeah, he's high on my mock draft, but it's because of how much love people are giving him. Like, because that teams are like, right now they're going, okay, that's your third quarterback, right?
Yeah, and he's basically been identified as the third best quarterback in this draft.
That's the third quarterback, and that's going to be.
So if there's a run on guys,
yeah,
and a team needs a quarterback at 9, let's say the Saints need a guy at 9, and Cam and Shador are already off the board, then they're probably going to take him.
Matt Corral and Jackson Dart were very different quarterbacks, so.
I get what he was saying. I
know what you mean.
I will say yes. I think Jackson Dart's going to have a much better career than the
I
NFL
hope so.
Matt
I really do. All right, there you go. Love having Pete on. If you missed any part of that, you can download the podcast wherever podcasts are found, or just go to KSLSports.com where you can also stream this program live as well. We'll take the break here. We'll come back. Hey, we got some sound from old Chuck. Charles Barkley getting involved with the Nico Harrison drama, and it is drama. It is awesome. You got to hear it. Stay right here, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Ladies and gentlemen,
The biggest name. You're locked into JJ and Alex with the insight and analysis on the teams you can't live without. Presented by G2G Bars. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All right. Whatever. We had the weirdest conversations in the break.
Anthony Mackie was in that movie. How did they get him?
Qu'est-ce que c'est? We were just having a discussion, and yes, Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter did come up in the conversation.
That movie's 13 years old.
We went from
Time flies.
We went from. That's my favorite part too about having Alex as our producer. It's like Abraham, wasn't there like an Abraham Lincoln Vampire? And he's like this. Yes, he already is like yes, I will. Yes, I'll concur. And then
he was
we're like
13 when that movie came out.
And then we're like
I'm sure you
Ghostbusters.
watched
And then
it.
we're like Ghostbusters 1, huh? And he's like, never heard of it. I'm like, geez, man. This all started because Chet Holmgren's in a new AT&T commercial, and ever since somebody called him the emo Abraham Lincoln, I can't unsee it. He looks. He
Put
does.
a top hat on. Chet
I'm
Holmgren.
telling you, he looks exactly like him. Same body type, same patchy facial hair. Let's go. Come on. Somebody's got to dress him up on Halloween. And I was like, well, I could do something cool. And then it turned into Abraham Lincoln Vampire Slayer. Vampire Killer.
It's quite a break we just had.
Do you remember Buffy the Vampire Slayer?
Not as cool as
He
Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter.
He remembers Buffy. It's because of the TV series, right? Mm-hmm. Do you know who played Blade?
Wesley Snipes.
Yes!
Whoa.
Tax evader Wesley Snipes. That's exactly
Whoa,
right.
you just blew me away with that one.
Oh, yeah, man.
That's an old movie.
It is. It's actually not a very good movie either.
How did
So
you know
congrats.
that?
Good for you. Oh, you know your vampires, I feel like. That's what's going on.
No, I honestly dislike vampires. For some reason, the Wesley Snipes just stayed in my head.
You dislike vampires?
I'm not a fan of vampires.
It's
How
an,
do you come to
it's
the
an
conclusion?
overused genre.
Oh, yeah.
That you dislike vampires.
It's just an overused genre.
So you've got to be a big fan of Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter because he was killing those vampires.
Yeah, man. Heck yeah.
If you kill all the vampires, we don't have to make movies about them anymore.
Abolitionist, vampire slayer.
By the way, Blade came out in 1998. How do you know Blade? That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Blade was on heavy rotation in my high school. My
Wesley
senior
Snipes,
year.
Chris Christopherson, Stephen Dorff.
Stephen Dorff.
He's also got Marvel
Deacon
ties, and
Frost.
so that's why.
Okay.
Oh, Blade does?
Yeah.
Oh, I
that's
didn't
why
know he's a
that's
Marvel
why
character.
Yeah,
Huh.
that's why it's in my head.
Yeah. Is Wesley Snipes? He's still with us, I know, but I'm saying is he out of prison? Is my question. We'll find out. I'm glad we had this discussion. Next up on the program here, you can nominate your youth sports volunteer that you know for the Hercules Hero of the Week. You just submit those nominations. KSLSports.com/contest. You can click on the Hercules Hero banner, and you nominate those people who do an awesome job in your community as sports volunteers. We have them all over the place, right? Moms, dads, assistant coaches, rec center directors, all those people who go the extra mile to make sure your kids have an awesome experience. It's just KSLSports.com/contest to nominate that person, and then we read those people's names off, and then we give them a prize courtesy of Beehive Meals and Hercules First Federal Credit Union. There you go. Let me see here. Oh, are we going to go to the when were we going to do the Chuck sound? I've got it right here. Let's do it right here because I want to play that, and then I'll get to some of the things that went on in the anonymous players poll is always very interesting. When they poll players across the NBA, it's an all NBA poll. It's all anonymous, and they give you who the MVPs should be or who the best players are. My favorite is the overrated player. That's always fun. But here's what Chuck on Inside the NBA on TNT said yesterday with a personal message to Nico Harrison. Take a listen.
Is that my camera right there?
Okay, uh-oh.
Listen, man. I consider you a friend of mine, Nico Harrison. I consider you a friend of mine. I wish you nothing but the best. I thought you did a good job last year with the Mavs, and obviously whatever happened this year didn't work out. Man, don't do no more press conferences. Like, I don't even know what you're doing. I really don't. Like, I got sympathy and love for you, but I have zero idea what you're trying to do. This war is over, brother. You taking the L. I hope you keep your job. I hope that team get healthy. But man, don't do any more interviews. Please don't.
Here's the thing, though. When you're a GM, you kind of have to sit in front of the media at some point, right? And for him, it was behind closed doors with no cameras and no microphones at first, and then he rolls out inexplicably his conversation yesterday, JJ, about. I knew that Luka was popular. I guess I didn't know to what extent he was popular with our fan base. Like that, admitting the level of naivete about the whole situation was pretty bad.
What Chuck's saying is by actually making public statements, everyone's starting to see just how bad he is at this.
I
and
hope
how
you
out
keep
of
your
touch
job.
he is.
The only way you can keep your job is if you stop talking.
Just shut
kid.
up and you'll keep your job because the owners like you because you did their bidding. But
that's bad.
Everyone else thinks you're a clown because everything that you've been saying ever since makes no sense.
I love how if you're Nico Harrison, like now, all he's doing is just hoping that Luka has no success ever again, which I think is a wild way to prove your point that
That's weird,
that somebody
right?
doesn't work out. Yeah,
we're learning more about the situation, and there's axe grinding going on with this. It's weird.
So the New York Times rolling out their anonymous NBA player poll. Here's what we got. You ready for these? These are my favorites. So they're asking the players who should be the MVP. And the players, out of 155 votes cast, like I said, they had at least one player on every roster making these votes, by the way. 56.1% going to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. I think a lot of folks, I don't know, if you're a player, maybe it's different. And obviously the player poll
it's like
makes
the
a difference.
players get fatigued, too, with Jokic.
It's like the players know, well, he's won 3. Shai's had an awesome year. Give one to him, too.
I think that everybody around the league really respects what the Thunder did this year, and Shai was the catalyst.
Nikola Jokic could win MVP, though, and how could you argue with it?
Yeah, I'd be fine with
what
it.
he's doing.
No problem with that.
You know?
But I do feel like Shai, with what he did, combined with the team success and how incredible the Thunder were this year, you got to give him the nod.
My favorite part is in this anonymous poll, you see how people are somebody voted LeBron James. When I say somebody, it's 1.3%, so what would that be out of the 150? I guess
not many.
Probably 1 or 2,
yeah.
right?
Somebody voted for
All right,
him.
so there you go.
Or 2.
It was probably, you know what? It was probably Bronny Jr. He probably had to do it's not anonymous anymore, JJ. He voted for his dad on that one.
Yeah.
Come on. My dad, he should win it every year. Which team other than your own should win the title this year? Players were asked anonymously. The Boston Celtics with 57.7%. So some people feeling what a lot of folks feel, which is the Thunder are awesome. they're not ready yet. 17.5%. So 40% gap between what the players said who was going to win the title this year. And obviously that's the part where I look at it and I go, oh yeah, I can. The ones who are voting for it and they see the talent level and they see what teams can do, that's pretty interesting. 5 years from now, who's going to be the face of the league? This is very interesting. Victor Wembanyama got 54.3% of the vote.
It's pretty clear. To
Anthony Edwards, 13.8%. To Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's is 10.9%. Okay? That's crazy. Walker Kessler with 4%. I'm just kidding. He's not on the list.
No Jazz player made that list.
Who put Cade Cunningham as face of the league? Paolo Banchero,
I think that you're starting to see Cade Cunningham earn a lot of respect. And
listen,
if you didn't watch Game 2 last night,
that was pretty interesting.
Watch the Pistons in the playoffs right now. You're going to see Cade Cunningham is evolving as a big-time star.
This is one of my favorite. Polls. Who in the league is the most overrated player this year?
Now I got to say, congratulations to our good friend Rudy Gobert, who is celebrating that he's no longer number one on this list.
He's been on the list at number one before. Okay, Tyrese Halliburton ran away with it this year. That's
weird, right?
What did Tyrese Halliburton do to these guys?
I don't know.
The Pacers, by the way, overperform. I think so.
I mean, he was a great cheerleader on the Olympic team. He did a great job with that.
Oh boy, so was Jason Tatum. Hey, you were a great cheerleader on the Olympic team.
Weird, right? That Jason Tatum didn't play much during the Olympics.
Everyone's like, what's his deal?
It was an underrated story.
Underrated player. So overrated player, Tyrese Halliburton. Underrated player.
Now to my point,
Cade Cunningham.
Yeah,
there you go.
He's got a lot of respect.
Derek White getting some run. Look, and it's hard to think, reigning champs, you have a guy who's underrated. Derek White, he is a guy on that roster that is key to that team being good.
No question.
I don't like it because I don't like the Celtics that much. But pretty hard to deny when you watch a game and Derek White's out there, he busts his freaking
When you
tail,
got a guy as good as Derek White as your fourth or fifth option, that's
Yep.
pretty, and that goes to show in the poll how much he's respected.
Best organization in the league. Warriors at 22% are number one. Thunder at number 2. Celtics at number 3. And the Clippers at number 4.
Ballmer takes care of his guys.
He does. How about the Jazz coming in 10th place?
That's great.
Is it?
Yeah.
Because let me clue you in on the worst organization in the league, where the Jazz also finished 10th.
How does that work?
I don't know. I don't know. Does that mean actually that they're just in the very middle? I was telling Alex before the show, I go, you don't have any Jazz players really on any of this stuff.
Well, it's better than what the perception was forever.
I know.
You go playing Salt Lake City. No, I think people realize that this is not that bad of a place to play.
So
that's changed, which is a great thing.
They're 10th in the best organization. They're 10th in the worst organization. So which is it?
You're still winning over some people, but you have one over some.
Yeah. So very middle.
The Jazz start winning again, that'll change.
All right. Let's take a break. We'll come back. Let me see here. Oh, aside from your coach, who's the worst coach in the league? Ooh, Brian Keefe taking the brunt of that.
Jeez, Mike Budenholzer.
Poor Mike Budenholzer did
Dude won a title.
You don't need to put this poll out after he already got fired. We get it.
One final one. Which player in the league would you least like to fight?
Who is it?
James Johnson.
Oh yeah,
he's still in the league. He's got a black belt.
Steven Adams is also on that list always. So Isaiah Stewart and Steven Adams. Yeah,
makes sense. Steven
Adams looks like a bruiser for sure. All right, we'll take a break here. We'll come back. We've got more. Stay with us. We'll chat with Todd also from IBEW as well. More to go right around the corner. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Your home for the best coverage of the Jazz, Utes, and Cougars is right here on The Zone. This is JJ and Alex, presented by G2G Bars on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Welcome back to the program. JJ and Alex, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Never too early for us to talk college football playoff schedules. And yes, the College Football Playoff Committee has rolled out what their schedules for next year's slate of 2025, 2026 games looks like. I always love this because you start to plug it in your head if you're here. Well, number one, you got a couple things. Your quarterfinal games, which are your after the byes games, the ones where you're actually playing in I don't know. What would you call this? So the first
After
round.
the first round.
The first round is where you have
which are the New Year's Day bowl
right.
games.
So these are all the ones that are not hosted at college campuses, right?
Yeah.
Wednesday, December 31st, and then Thursday, January 1. You've got the Cotton Bowl on Wednesday, New Year's Eve, and then New Year's Day, Orange Bowl, Rose Bowl, Sugar Bowl. Not a bad lineup. You know where I'll be that day?
Where will you be?
With my butt planted right in front of a television, because it's my job, JJ.
Cheering for Buck College? See how we came full circle?
See, that's what we call a callback. There
That's the theme of the show today.
All right. Semifinals are on
Does Buck College have a chance this year to make the playoff?
Here's what I was going to say about timing-wise. Have we pushed this back? The national championship is on January 19th.
It's pretty ridiculous, but whatever.
Hey, Alex, our producer, what was last year's? Look up when last year's national championship was. Was it the 20th?
20th or 21st? Yeah.
So we're in the same category at least. But here's the thing. Let's just start pushing these back a little bit, even more. Can we make it to where the Super Bowl and the college football playoff are just not 1 week right after another, but really close?
Well, if they add another round, you'll likely end up seeing the college football playoff in the weekend between the championship games and the Super Bowl.
If I don't have to watch, that's what we're talking about. If I don't have to watch the dadgum Pro Bowl.
You don't have to do anything.
I know, but I do because
I'm not making you.
JJ, it's my job.
It's not. I know that.
It's the Pro Bowl. Give me your idea. Give me what happened in the Pro Bowl. One guy was wearing flags and then threw it to another guy who shouldn't have been at this game either. It's a flag football game.
I hate to break it to you. You have never been assigned to watch the Pro Bowl from a work standpoint.
What?
You've been here 20-plus years. Don't lie to the people.
Can we get, what's his name?
You just watch it because you like it.
Can we get Marshawn Lynch back on to commentate, and then they have to drop him every 4 minutes because he accidentally says an F word?
You like the Pro Bowl.
I do not.
He liked the Pro Bowl. He watched the Pro Bowl.
He himself admitted. I want a
now
Pro.
You have to marry the Pro Bowl.
You love your Pro Bowl, Paul. Boy, deep references to. So I think you should leave.
This segment's off the rails.
All right. We'll come back. Our Ute Insider for KSLSports.com. He is Steve Bartle. He's going to join us next. Been quite a busy last 24 hours for Steve because, oh, man, the off-the-field stuff, that's gone away for a minute now that spring is over. The off-the-field antics continue, and that's just as entertaining. So we'll get with Steve, see what the latest has brought, including a big name into the transfer portal for the Utes. Stay here, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.